And so I thought best approach would be to kind of recall how this building came about. We go back to roughly 1960, somewhere in there, when the programming began for this building. And it was the campus and university was just in this embryonic state. It was just beginning to grow. And it was the last half of the 50s, beginning of the 60s. Everybody had a very line what should be, how it should be done, kind of thing. So it was an exciting time to be involved with the establishment of the campus and the design of the campus and the design of individual buildings. Just to give you the background, there were overall consultants who were Worcester, Bernard, and Emmons. They are current from San Francisco, who were the overall campus planning consultant. And they worked in conjunction with the university for developing the concept of the campus plan, and also to establish certain criteria and as far as programming for the various buildings. The individual that was involved at that time, Don Ammon, and I think up until quite recently he was still involved with the university, again as an overall consultant for the development of the project as they arose. So this building started out initially as a social science complex. That was the official name of it at that time, before they gave it the Cornett name. And the basic approach was to have this building, have the rooms and the spaces around an inner quad. They're going to also provide the building so that it would be smaller in scale. It's 100,000 square feet, more or less, more rather than less, and more than that now to what it was built. And the approach here was to break it down into elements so that the students would feel more intimate with the spaces, with the not that overwhelming feeling if you walk into 100,000, 200,000 square feet building. It can be pretty overpowering. The whole approach here was to get more of a scale, more friendly scale, with the actual spaces themselves and the blocks themselves. The basic sort of planning aspect of the building, and I'm sure everybody says now, why does it look the way it does? What is the process to build? Well, first of all, with the fireproof structure, guide the building structure, you had to be. The fabric was is a colored masonry block with colored joints, and just that time was able to provide a very well-wearing finish. Admittedly, it did not provide the effectability that could have been installed in the building. And precast concrete on the exterior and interior portions, as well as stucco panels with marble integral aggregate, so we colored it in black and color, just with mineral colors. And the key thing there was to, as I said before, give this a sense of human scale. In other words, breaking it down. You'll notice that there are a lot of elements that are described, people can relate to it. And also the modulation of surfaces. I think what we've lost, I thought of at that time, I still maintain that, but I think we've lost what really enrichment of surface is all about. You know, it doesn't have to be a tectonic, smooth, slick surface. Now, I know some of the current projects that are being designed at the present time are more of that architectonic kind of approach. And, they're different schools of this particular as far as design philosophy goes. My design philosophy is, the ultimate reason for structure is the people. And I think we should be attuned to how they are going to respond to the space. I think, the whole question, say, of warm colors, people respond to color. They respond to light and shade. And that's an area, too, that both interior and exterior on this particular complex, you will see the surface of the modulated. So that on the exterior, for example, the sun plays with light and shadow. Now you can say, that's kind of an esoteric approach. Why have you done that? It's more expensive than just a flat wall, for example. I feel very strongly that people respond subconsciously to a ritual, something to the soul as well as the brain. And I think that it's a very intrinsic and very important element in the whole process of design of the environment, that this particular aspect and dimension be considered. All the influence of, I've been a great student of the organic school, Frank Lloyd Wright. I studied with Bruce Skaw, who is also people with Wright, who was teaching at the University of Oklahoma when I was up there. And again, it's the organic approach as opposed to a European international style. At that time, it was international style. You got postmodern, and you got deconstructed, there's all kinds of things. But at that time, there were certain schools. I feel myself that I'm not a slave to, our buildings don't look like FLW's buildings or Bruce Goff buildings. And you take a philosophy and then you take out of it that you need, and then you want to create your own. And this is and that's a lifelong protest, of course. You never fully got all different. But that's where it comes from. And I think that otherwise, what happened, just to go back to it, is you become eclectic. I mean, you've seen a lot of structures that are Frank Lloyd Wright practically copied them, and that kind of thing. And I think that in any form of art, and it's that having that integrity when you do that. I think one thing to use a principle, but another thing to be totally eclectic, so that that is the influence to develop. And like some of the elements of design that I've mentioned, of rhythm, articulation, interpenetration of space, without trying to get too arty crafty about it. But the whole question of, there's a saying that the reality of the building is the space within it, the space that contains it. Because if you think in terms of space as a volume, it is a volume that you respond to. And I think that's one of the major factors, and people feel comfortable in it. There's some buildings you feel comfortable in, some you don't. Perhaps you don't feel comfortable in this, I don't know. I mean, I think any creative endeavor that's involved, it should be growth. It should always be growing with it. Because once you say, that was the best thing I ever did, you reach down to the line. And that's not my philosophy. You have to. Well, I enjoyed it. Yes. But okay. When you say you're with how we can eat the scale, what about, that's a much better way than I expressed it. Yeah, I guess it is. It goes, I've done a lot of reading as far as philosophy goes, as far as spirituality goes, and I'm not just putting this out, but it's how words coming from, it's a whole concept of life, and the concept of, the intrinsic qualities of the person. And, what you can do in your particular calling to create benefit where they are as a person. That's the motivating factor, whether it's a 3-bedroom house or big complex like this, or high rise or the church or whatever. That's because the essence of architecture are the people that value use. That's what you're dedicated to, And once you get around for just sort of ego indulgent, you miss the boat. You become an exhibitionist and become very good at that. But I think that what will happen is we'll have a certain emptiness. There'll be a great composition, and I've run across people who are brilliant designers. And if you look at it strictly as a design, it's tremendous. Look at it as how it relates to people, how they're going to respond to it. Anyway, like for that.